Murphy, interim minister at First Congregational Church in Port Washington, Wisconsin, here with you for another Gap Chat. I'm here today with Jean Manch and Jane Spalding, two people that have been very involved in the life of Family Promise in Ozaukee County. And I just wanted to remind you of the services that are being provided and ways that you can be of help to this. So welcome, Jane. Welcome, Jean. Glad you're here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell me, you're longstanding participants in family service. You've been with this outreach for quite some time now?
Pretty much from the start. I was the outreach coordinator for the church when we started working with Family Promise, and I've said many times since then, this is the worst best solution, because if you find yourself approaching homelessness, you're sleeping in your car, things are not going right, your life isn't going right, you need some sort of respite. You need to have a place to lay your head at night. You need someone to make sure you're eating as you start to solve your other problems, which usually involves a job, getting your kids to school, getting your wash done, finding a place to take a shower, just all those kind of normal things while you try and get your act back together.
And Family Promise helps with all of that, doesn't it, Jean? I mean, they have social workers that help their clients to find employment,
to find work, and to find out what other services are available. All of Ozaukee County has worked to keep people in their housing, if at all possible, so that they don't fall or find themselves falling into homelessness. And so there are rental assistance programs and other things they can take advantage of. But if someone is past that point and really needs a more all-encompassing for a while, it's a good place to be.
It's a wonderful safety net that provides both housing and meals, care for the children, could be daycare, could be getting the children to school, whatever needs that they have, that Family Promise either helps meet those needs or puts them in touch with agencies and places, professionals that can address those needs. How about you, Jane? You've been involved?
I've been a volunteer from the congregation since we first started. There's a very simple evening's worth of training to get folks familiar with how the Family Promise system works. This currently there's groups of churches responsible for weeks of care, though there aren't enough of those groups for every week of the year. But what happens when we get a week is that we work with Parkside and Living Hope. Yeah. And volunteers from those three congregations work to provide supervision. It's actually, we're not doing much. We're just there in the host church site. The clients come at 5. A meal is available for them, and then they're there overnight usually in small rooms on cots, and that's their residence for that week. They leave again in the morning, and they're either going to jobs or they're going, in normal circumstances, pre-COVID, they were going to work, to school, kids were getting transported to school, or they were meeting at Family Promise or other places with counselors and individuals who could help them with whatever their need was, whether they're needing to figure out what sort of work they can do, what they need to do to find a job, how to get their car repaired, you name it. And then, so we rotate through that. So,
Jane, is it true that that the people that family service serves are women and children,
Or
families and
intact
children.
families.
or intact families? You were going to say, Jane?
Yeah. So we have had male guests as part of families.
Okay.
No
As part of the family.
solo males.
There are other organizations for that population.
Yeah. And you know, it's definitely a feeling of service, but most of these folks have spent the whole day being overwhelmed. They're ready for a little quiet time and going to sleep. So volunteers are not doing counseling. They're encouraged not to have conversations with clients about how they're feeling, how things are going. They're just meant to be a friendly face, providing a meal and allowing them to have a safe place to sleep.
So I want to be clear about this for people. If they were interested in volunteering, family service is run by volunteers, whether it be cooking meals, whether it be hosting a guest family, driving where they need to go. It's all done by volunteers. Am I right?
No,
I'm wrong.
you're not right.
Okay, I'm wrong.
The social workers at the day center
Yes.
are paid, and the drivers of the van are paid.
Okay.
So those two sets of people are the people that are professional, well, not professional drivers in many cases,
Yeah.
but
They're paid staff.
right.
Right, and so that's an expense that Family Promise has.
Okay.
And so not only do they need volunteer bodies to man, they need dollars to pay for the things that they have to pay for.
Right. Plus, they have just moved into the new location, and they are very hopeful that they will be able to buy it. They have, in fact, a bid on it, and I believe they have made arrangements to purchase the property, which would be ideal.
Okay. Well, glad to get set right about this.
The other thing that Jim, excuse me, the other thing that volunteers or potential volunteers might like to know is that there are always 2 volunteers on site. So you, as a new volunteer, wouldn't have to be figuring this all out on your own. And I'm hoping my long-term memory is good enough that when we again host at Parkside, I can remember which light switches work which things and which drawer in the kitchen has which items in it. Because that can be very frustrating as a new person.
Thank you. So volunteers are needed. And I assume that with the COVID, there are more people being served by family service now?
Family Promise.
I said family service, family promise. Thank you, Jean. Thank you for
Absolutely.
correcting me again.
There are more people being served. The numbers went up
Yeah,
a little slowly at first, and we are currently, as of last week, serving 17 people, which is more than we had ever hosted in any of the churches.
okay.
And which is partly why we think we will use this model of using the chalet motel through the end of the year.
Okay.
Oh, we haven't talked about that piece of it for this gap chat, that currently no church is hosting Family Promise clients overnight. It's all being done at the chalet motel with meals provided.
And is that because of the COVID crisis?
It's because of COVID, yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay.
So they basically are self-quarantined in the room. They can go out. They have a vehicle. They can go wherever they want to go in their vehicle.
Yeah.
But when they're at the motel, they are really kept to themselves in their room. So there's, I mean, among other things that have been suggested previously is that we provide some games and puzzles and things for the kids to do.
Hmm.
You know, the motel rooms have a TV, but TV gets old. So
Well, this is interesting to me because I heard you all talking about Family Promise, and I said, listen, this is too important for us not to do a gap chat on. This is too important for us not to bring it to the attention frequently for the congregation in case they wanted to volunteer or if they wanted to write a check. But there's other things that members of the church can do to support Family Promise. I know that on their website, they list certain urgent needs, issues like paper towels, toilet paper, laundry detergent. Imagine, it's
Right.
important to have clean clothes. Um, Deodorant for women, body wash for women, shaving cream for women, new bath towels, and gas cards as well. And in fact, if you go on the website for Family Promise of Ozaukee County, you can see other more specific needs that are there as well. We were speaking before we started recording that if people wanted to contribute some of these items, there's ways in which we can make arrangements for that at the church. I know we had talked about on the first Sunday of the month bringing items when they come to pick up their little communion cups. But there's other ways. If they want to just call the church, we can respond to their inquiries and arrange for a time to pick up any donations that they'd like to leave for Family Promise. That would be good. Well, I really appreciate you spending the time and helping to put the word out there, especially during a time like this, and especially at a time when the needs seem to be growing in Ozaukee County. We need to know about these things, and we need to know how we can respond to care for those who stand in need of our help. So thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Good to see you all. This is Jim McKenzie, First Congregational Church in Port Washington, saying we'll see you next time right here in the Gap.